He provides the beat behind one of the most commercially successful and musically influential bands of rock's last quarter century, the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Meet drummer Chad Smith.
They were kind of an underground band, so to speak.
Right.
But I knew, oh yeah, the guys with the socks on their and like I knew about them. So I was like, they have a record deal. Yeah, I'll try out for those guys. But I didn't really know their music or anything. And my friend Newt Cole said, you know, you're gonna love it, man. They just rock hard and they play all kinds of different stuff. And I was like, cool. So he told this woman Denise that I ate drums for breakfast. So that's what, when I walked into the audition with the Chili Peppers, the first person I see is Flea, and I'm walking in with my drums, and he's like, "So, man, is that your breakfast?" He's just a little guy, you know, like, what? Kind of weird.
A backstage conversation with one of America's greatest living drummers, Chad Smith of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Coming up next on Music Makers.
Music Makers is made possible in part by NAM, the National Association of Music Merchants. We envision a world in which the joy and many benefits of making music are a precious element of daily living for everyone. Want to play?
Chad Smith of the Red Hot Chili Peppers is recognized as one of America's premier rock drummers. Rolling Stone named him one of the 100 greatest drummers of all time, and Modern Drummer ranked him number 2 on the list of best living drummers. And now, he and the Red Hot Chili Peppers are enshrined in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You joined the Chili Peppers 25 years ago. I have imagined it was going to turn into what it's turned into. You talk about a nice long ride. You've got to be incredibly proud of that.
You know, when I joined the group in 1988, the very end of 1988, I had just moved from Michigan, where I grew up in Detroit, outside of Detroit. And I graduated from high school in 1980, and barely. And but I really, because I just wanted to be a professional musician, a professional drummer. I've been playing since I was 7 years old. And so I just wanted to play professionally. So right out of high school, I started playing in clubs in Detroit. And I just thought that was just great. You know, we played every little club in the Tri-County area of Michigan and
Sure.
Detroit. And, you know, 3 sets of 6 nights a week, and cover bands, original bands, just any kind of music, rock music that
Sure.
I could do. And I did that for about just really literally till I moved to California in '88.
Now, did you have a plan B? What was plan B if it?
Plan B?
Yeah, I mean, was there a, you know, if this doesn't work out, I got to go be a plumber. I got to go be a.
No, you know what? I was happy playing music. Of course, when you're a kid and that you find your passion at an early age like I did, I dreamt of being in the big rock band, in the Led Zeppelin, in the Who or whatever. You know, I had the posters on the wall. I read the magazines, the whole thing. So, you know, but I know I was realistic that 1 in 100 million, you know, actually get to do that. But what I did want to do was, hopefully I could be able to be a professional and make a living at it. You know, and like you say, my mother was always, well, that's really great, Chad, but when are you know, what about a real job? But that was my real job, and I loved it, and I still do to this day. But it was really, that's all I wanted to do. That was my passion. That was what I loved. I just loved music, and I just wanted to continue to hopefully grow and get better. And I felt, you know what, I should move to where it's happening. And for me, it was either New York or Los Angeles.
Right.
At that time, this is the end of 1988.
And were you in a band?
Yeah, I was in a band called Toby Red, which we had a record that came out on RCA Records. So for our local band to get like back then a major record deal was a big deal, right?
Heck yeah.
And so we played a few gigs and got one song on the radio, and we were kind of doing okay, and we did a tour. We opened for Kansas.
Oh, yeah.
And the Romantics, and then you know, 6-9 months later, we were back to playing the clubs again, and that's when I went, God, and the other guys in my group were a little bit older, and I was like, man, I don't want to be banging around these clubs at 32, 33 years old. So I was 23 or 24, and that was another thing. I was like, I feel like it's time to make a move. So I had an older brother, Brad, who you know, and he was like, he lived in San Francisco at the time in the Bay Area, but I had friends that lived in Los Angeles that had moved out there, and they were saying, you should come out here. And end of '88, like that was the whole Sunset Strip, Guns N' Roses,
sure.
Motley Crue, all those bands. I wasn't a big like metal guy, but I love Guns N' Roses, but he was like, you should come out here. So I packed up my car. It was like the Beverly Hillbillies.
And you did it.
Moved west.
Now I want to take one step backward on that one because this always fascinates me. Do you still keep in touch with the guys from Toby Red?
Yes.
I mean, because that their life story now has to be, we were the last guys, Chad Smith before he made it big.
They were great. I'm so grateful to those guys. They were, like I say, a little bit older than me, and they'd been playing for a long time before I joined that group. And the playing with them was such a great experience for me. And we've done 1, 2, 3 sort of reunion shows. I went back in 2004.
Oh, that's cool.
Again in 2007, we just played again not too long ago, a couple years ago.
Well, that's
so
very
I see
cool.
them. Yeah, no,
that's
I see
very
them.
Cool.
And
because it's got to be like AAA, and they never got up and they never got their cup of coffee, and.
It was.
And you broke through.
Yeah, you kind of I had to go for it. I just had to really I just really felt that it's almost that woulda, coulda, shoulda. Right. I was kind of a big fish in a small pond, and I thought, I should go to where it's happening and see. And I had some of my friends come back like a month later, do the same thing, and like, oh man, LA is just brutal, and it's really tough, and so I slept on my friend Gordy's couch, the Nerf couch we called it, for about 3 months. Took little odd jobs and went to a music school out there called Musicians Institute of Technology.
Okay.
Sounds very.
Well, at least they can.
It's not like
they use MIT.
Not really MIT.
Right.
Not that MIT.
Right.
But I went and tried to better myself as a player, and I went there for about 3 months, and then I played with some other people, and just kind of, to get out there and kind of network and typical, I don't know if it's typical, but I think it happens that where people, how I found out about the Chili Peppers audition is a friend of a friend that knew the guitar player this girl dated the guitar player that was now dating my friend, and she knew that the Chili Peppers were looking for a drummer. And I knew of the Chili Peppers, but I wasn't like a big fan. So at the end of '88, Chili Peppers had 3 records, and they were kind of a college level, I'd say, played college radio, and they were kind of an underground band, so to speak.
Right.
So I was like, they have a record deal. Yeah, I'll try out for those guys.
Sure.
But I didn't really know their music or anything. And my friend Newt Cole said, you're gonna love it, man. They just rock hard and they play all kinds of different stuff. And I was like, cool. So he told this woman, Denise, who was dating John, the guitar player at the time, who was 18 years old.
It's very easy to follow, you realize.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Okay.
That I ate drums for breakfast. So that's when I walked into the audition with the Chili Peppers, the first person I see is Flea, and I'm walking in with my drums, and he's like, so man, is that your breakfast? He's just a little guy, like, what? Kind of weird, okay. Whatever, I set up my drums, we start jamming.
So let me take a step. This is how pragmatic I am thinking about this. So you're still hauling your gear around.
Oh yeah.
You get what?
I had a little
beat up car
I had
out there.
a Honda Civic.
Okay, so you putting your kit in the car and schlepping it around.
Listening to the cassette on the way, back when we had cassettes.
Yeah.
And going, oh yeah, they do Fire by Jimi Hendrix. I know that. And oh, they do this. And I remember staying in the parking lot of Hully Gully rehearsal and listening to the end. So I'm like, oh, in case, that they asked me, do you know, this song or that song? But they weren't like this big rock band, so I wasn't like all nervous or, oh my God, So I just went in and we just did what we basically do to this day. We just improvise and jam and just take notes out of the air and just start playing. And Flea starts a bass line and I start playing. And and we just jammed. And there was this musical explosion in that little room, and it was so fun, and they had so much energy, and I remember Anthony, he wasn't singing, he was just kind of dancing around the room, and he was laughing his ass off. He thought it was the funniest thing he ever saw. And we're just like, come on, man, and it was just great.
Let me, if I can, take a step backward. Let's go back to beginning of drumming. I mean, you're in elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
What was your first musical training? Was it in school? Was it church? Was it, you start taking were your parents musicians? I mean, where did this come from?
Yeah, my mother played piano.
Okay.
My father loved music, but couldn't sing or play anything. Like, really embarrassing. We would go to church and he would sing really loud and off key, and it was really bad. But my sister played piano, my brother played guitar. They're both my older siblings. So when I was 7, and I didn't have that, it was a little before me was that whole, I saw Ringo on Ed Sullivan or one of those kind of things. So I don't know why I just decided to hit things. I like to bang on stuff, pots and pans around the house, that kind of thing. And maybe because the piano in the house was taken and my brother had the guitar, but and it wasn't like, hey, you should do this, or which instrument do you want? I just inherently went towards hitting things, and so.
And this is in school band or younger than that?
This is before school band. This is when I was 7, so this is how old? Yeah. Second grade or
right,
something?
Second, third grade, yeah.
So he said, he really likes to hit things, so my dad went behind Baskin-Robbins ice cream store in Birmingham, Michigan, and took the ice cream tubs that they scoop the ice cream out of. And then there's kids' Lincoln Log toys that were like little wood toys, right? So those are my sticks. So I had the finest equipment at the very beginning. That's probably why I
wanted to make sure it took before.
They were like, we're not buying a drum set before, So we put tape all over it, and I played on those things for a while. And they're like, it seems like you kind of like this, So and then I got like a little crappy kit. But yeah, I did take some lessons in school. The teacher in grade school kind of taught a little bit of everything. He was that guy. And so I learned how to read music, drum notation, not melody, but just rhythms in grade school. And I continued in junior high, and then I started playing bands. That was my first band was in junior high with my brother, Rockin' Conspiracy. Right around the Watergate era. We were very political. My brother was a huge influence on me. So I listened to all his records, and this was end of 60s, early 70s. Right. He was really into the hard rock blues bands or artists from England of the day. So although Jimi Hendrix was American, came out of England, Jimi Hendrix was Mitch Mitchell on drums, Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, Humble Pie, The Who, Queen. These are like all his records. Yeah.
Groups and big stuff, big drums.
Big rock, big loud rock, stuff that really piss your parents off. You come home from school and you turn that on 11, and it was really exciting. And it was an exciting time for rock music, but also those drummers were exceptional. They were, guys like Ian Pace for Deep Purple, John Bonham from Led Zeppelin, Mitch Mitchell, Roger Taylor, Keith Moon.
Absolute trendsetters. Yeah. They kind of defined that style.
Ginger Baker from Queen, from Cream. So these are the guys that I listened to when I first could kind of play a little bit,
You mentioned the volume thing. I don't think there's a drummer alive that hasn't had funny volume stories. You got any funny volume stories you can share of, police coming in to turn you down, or parents screwed everyone? Because you're known as a pretty heavy hitter. I mean, you chop wood.
I like to hit them.
You chop wood pretty well.
It's just the way I like to do it.
Which is great. Nothing wrong. But having said that, you had to have just been, you're the drummer that everybody's like, for crying out loud.
I was,
early on.
People would say, he's a really loud drummer. You play with him, he's really loud. It wasn't like we had PA systems, it was you had to compete with these guys as, marshals and, So, but it's just, it's an extension of the way that I express myself as well. I like to, it's important to play a dynamic, but more loud rock music, I like to hit it hard. It's just how I like to do it. But we would play. Well, first starting off, in Michigan, we have basements. So down in the basement is where I would practice. and it would just shake the whole house. So my mother would, her suggestion, oh yeah, I'm going out to, I'm gonna go out shopping now, or I'm going to the grocery store. Right now would be a good time to practice, Chad. Okay, Mom. I go put the headphones on and play along, and then she'd come home and flick the lights on and off. And
Yeah, I'm back.
time to go.
I'm back.
I was like, oh, it's a cool light show. Look at this, wow.
Did you ever hit a spot, and I'm thinking back when you're starting to play, when it became clear that what a teacher was teaching you probably wasn't what you were wanting to play? I mean, did that ever moment happen where you're doing wait a minute, I'm going down this path and I really want to be on this path?
I never, the only private teacher that I had, and it was the teacher from school.
So it was pretty too early on then.
Yeah, so I never took private lessons. I think it's great to take private lessons from a teacher that, is like you say, someone that will help mold you into what you want to play,
right,
but also what's important to learn. And those are two different things. Lots of kids just want to, I just love this band or this drummer, I just want to play like this guy. Well, you need to, you gotta have your tools, you gotta have your tools in your box.
Let's go there for a minute. Talk about practicing. I mean, I always think of there being kind of a funny connection between practicing and playing. Do you want to practice through playing, or do you want to play more to get better, or where's the real woodshed time coming in for practicing? What are some of your thoughts on that? You still at this point, are you still logging half an hour a day, keeping your chops up, or you're probably playing?
Not on the road when we're on tour. No. Playing is enough. We warm up a little bit before we play, but. For me, this is not necessarily right or wrong, and maybe it's wrong, but what as a drummer playing, you're playing a rhythm. In rock and roll, the drums are not a melodic instrument.
Right.
You're keeping rhythm, and you're supportive, and it's not a lead instrument. The way that I play anyway, and so. I really enjoy playing with other people, and it helps you get better and you become more musical, and it's really important. Of course, you want to have your feet and your hands, you want to have facility on the instrument to be able to do creatively how you would like to express yourself. That said, it was so important for these things on the side of your head to listen to what other people are playing, and that's how, when improvising, you have, in order to improvise with someone, you have to be a good listener in anything, whether you're an actor, whether you're an athlete, whatever you're doing, that's really important. And so I did that early on, but you have to put the hard work. When it is hard work, sometimes, practicing, it's not fun, but you have to, in anything, if you want to get good at something, you have to put in the hours and into the work. And I did that early on, for sure. But I loved it. See, I was passionate about it. I wanted to play. I wanted to play. I wanted to play along to those records. I wanted to do this, but man, I blah 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 blah.
Right, you've got your headphones on. You're trying to play with Ginger Baker. You're like, I can't do that. My feet aren't working. So
I couldn't do this one fill in this song "Space Truckin'" by Deep Purple that Ian Pace did. I just got to tell him about it, and it really pissed me off. And so you just work at getting better, and some of those things are speed and technique and all that. But I think that I was fortunate, maybe because I started when I was really young and I just kind of did it because I wanted to do it. I think that I had some natural time. To go back to your initial question, did you ever think you'd be doing it? I mean, I would have never thought in a million years that, even when I joined the Chili Peppers, I was like, wow, big rock band. I didn't think of it, not a big rock band, but like, wow, here's a band that's, got records and they're touring. Oh, wow, but we're just a bunch of knuckleheads from Hollywood, and like playing this weird music that nobody really knows what it is, but to be still doing it, be relevant, and then stuff like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And it's incredible.
Does it get any bigger than that?
It's incredible.
It really is.
It really is. I mean,
you're so humble about that, and that's that's a pretty nice crown on the top of that.
My mother came to the induction. You know, my mother's 85 years old, and I was pretty much a real troublemaker when I was a kid.
No.
I know, shocking. I gave her and my father both a pretty hard time. So I told my mom, I said, you know, Mom, you must have did something right. You know, she'd say, "Oh, you turned out." That's her favorite thing to say. "Well, you turned out all right, Chad."
Oh, yeah, all right.
Yeah, I'm like 50 years old. Gee,
thanks, Mom.
About time for you to grow up, you know. But it was a real nice moment where we're like by the Ramones and the Rolling Stones, and I'm just going. But it's yeah, no, I know, you know, and I was just like, wow. So, but you know, it's really it's humbling. It is you know, to be inducted amongst those people that, you know, have really had a big impact on you know, modern culture. You know,
well, I think, you know, part of that issue of you're saying staying relevant, and boy, I couldn't agree more, and it's kind of the trademark of the Chili Peppers. And, you know, as I hear all that, you guys pitch your tent as a rock band, but boy, underneath that tent, there's a ton of other genres going on.
Yeah.
And, you know, the more I listen, actually help, you know, kind of preparing for this interview and listening to the band throughout the years, you know, I really don't hear a lot of, it's not the chord changes, and it's not the, you know, it's not the breakdown of the tune that's really reminding me all that. It's pretty much you and Flea's groove that does it, you know, and, you know, there are a lot of influences coming into that, and I think that's why it's so entertaining and continually kind of stays fresh for you guys, because you keep doing that. You're not, you know, you're not just hitting on 2 and 4 every beat and this big straight up and down, you know, marching band thing. You really have got a lot going on, and so I guess expound on that a little bit. I mean, I love your playing from the standpoint of the funk and the kind of cross genre of the whole thing. How do you fit that underneath this umbrella of we're a rock band? And that's a hard thing.
Yeah, I mean, your rock band is a very general term, you know. I mean, it's you know, yeah, I do say, you know, what kind of, you know, people, I meet somebody, well, oh, you play music? Yeah, what kind of music? Oh, we play rock music. Yeah, we play rock music, but, you know, we love all kinds of music.
It shows.
Well, good, thank you. You know, it's, we don't try to copy anybody. We are very open to new kinds of music, old kinds of music, anything, whatever, you know, anything you do in your life influences you as a person. And if you're an artist, a true artist, and you're honest about your art, that will all come through your personality, which hopefully can come through your music and get it out in a way that people connect with that. And that's what we're trying to do. And you know, just to learn about new stuff and electronic music, and, you know, hip hop was huge, you know. We're so influenced by rap and hip hop music. You know, punk rock is a big part of the Chili Peppers.
Sure. It was that way before you got involved, right?
Yes, I mean, and certainly Flea played in Fear, one of the seminal LA punk bands, and love that music, and love, you know, I love my love of that classic rock, you know, that hard rock blues thing. That's a big part of me. I also love all kinds of music, and, you know, like I say, my dad couldn't sing or play anything, but he, in our home, always was Johnny Cash. He's a hillbilly, my dad, from West Virginia.
Well, so you got all that flavor too.
Johnny Cash, Elvis. My dad loved Elvis. Frank Sinatra. When you're a kid, you're like, oh, this is crap. This is old people music, you know? But that was the good stuff, man. He had good taste.
That's right.
So it's all in there. It's all in the stew, and we just try to make that big gumbo, you know.
And it does. I mean, those are the spices. You clearly hear, you know, a section of rap in a tune. You think, well, this isn't a rap band. But, you know, it all works. And it's, you know, I would think it makes your playing so much more interesting or so much more fulfilling for you to not be back there just banging away. Just banging away. Yeah, I mean, you really are playing some heavy stuff most of the time.
Yeah, it's I couldn't think of a more satisfying musical situation to be in than a band like a Red Hot Chili Peppers, where, as a drummer, as any musician, but certainly as a drummer, to be able to do whatever comes to mind, or your thought, or your, musically just play whatever you want and inspire other musicians to jump in and play. That's our creative process. And each of us do that. And I think that's why we do have a unique sound.
On the next episode of Music Makers, our conversation with Chad Smith continues as he talks about the Chili Peppers recording sessions, his children's album with Dick Van Dyke, and his other musical family, Chickenfoot. And you should tell our viewers who's in the group.
Okay, Mike Anthony, who's played in Van Halen, and Sammy Hagar, who's been around for 100 years.
He is who he is.
So it's the three of us, and I'm like, we should play. It's like jam. And he's like, you guys are too good, man. I'm not a good enough guitar player. I'll call Joe. I go, okay, Joe, great. You call Joe. Joe who?
Yeah,
Joe Satriani.
Joe Barton, the guy around the corner,
yeah,
right?
Joe the plumber. He's like, Joe Satriani. He's my buddy. He lives in Mill Valley. He's in San Francisco. I go, yeah, okay, call him. He's good. You call him. That would be great.
Must be a nice feeling. Joe Satriani.
Yeah,
one of the heaviest ever.
Yeah, he's all right.
Ever.
I was like, okay, that would work. First record went gold. It was great.
Next on Music Makers.
Music Makers is made possible in part by NAM, the National Association of Music Merchants. We envision a world in which the joy and many benefits of making music are a precious element of daily living for everyone. Want to play?
For more information on Music Makers with Scott Houston and program guests, please visit our website at www.musicmakerstvshow.com.